High school sports, we've got it covered. Overtime starts now.
Hello and welcome to Overtime. I'm Scott Leber.
And I'm Drew Collins. Playoff spots were up for grabs tonight around the state line. We'll see which team secured a spot in the postseason party. Other teams were trying to improve their playoff seeding.
We'll show you which teams accomplished those goals. And in our Spotlight segment, we'll meet an East Rab football player who's been driven by the memory of his brother.
We begin with the crowning of a Nick 10 champion or co-champions. 3 teams started tonight hoping to claim at least a piece of the championship.
That's right. One team was Hana. The Indians played at Belvedere. The other 2 were Belvedere North and Harlem. Those 2 went head-to-head at Harlem. It's the Gillies Heating and Air Conditioning Game of the Week. Hey, Nick Tapia back from a separated shoulder at quarterback for North, hands it off to Xavier McElroy for the TD. 12-0 North in the second quarter. Now, Harlem came back with 2 field goals in the first half from Angel Vasquez. One of them, this 40-yarder, and those 2 field goals helped Harlem take the lead, 13-12. North looking to score in the second quarter at the 4-yard line, but they fumble the football, and it's recovered by Isaiah Dosey-Coleman of the Huskies. That looked like it was going to be a huge play in this game. Third quarter now, McElroy pops a big run. Look at him go. He's going to take it all the way inside the 10-yard line, and that would lead to this play. Eric Roman gets his number called, takes the handoff, and there he is for the 4-yard touchdown, 20-13 Blue Thunder. Harlem would answer. Nate Johnson here has Dwayne Broom in his sights, cutting across the middle, and Broom with a nice move after the catch there, and he goes 28 yards for the TD, and I'll tell you what, Tim Bailey was liking that touchdown catch. There's Tim. Yeah, Tim liked that, right? Yeah, 20 all at that point. We had ourselves a ball game. North Benny here coming up with a big run. He's one of the unsung heroes for this North team. Look at the cutback here by Benny. Boop. And there he goes. Huskies trying like heck to catch him. They finally do, but he's way down there deep in Harlem territory. Then Tapia going to the air. He's got Nathan Alexander for the TD. 27-20 Blue Thunder on top. McElroy later with another short TD, his second of the night. Belvedere North goes on to win it 34-20 for only the school's second conference championship.
It feels great. I mean, we've had some tough losses in the past years, but I'm glad we bounced back and finished the season off strong with the win.
Oh, man, it feels great, man. You know, we only had it once, and it feels a lot great, man.
What was it like out there in this game tonight? It was so back and forth.
Yeah, I mean, it was up and downs. You know, us in the first quarter, we didn't really get anything moving, but in the second quarter, you know, after Walker Paulson went down, our team just lit up.
It feels great. I mean, this is such a great program, and it's just great to be in that top spot, you know what I mean, or be sharing it.
How'd you guys shake off the loss last week? Because I know that had to be a rough one to overcome, the way it kind of got away there at the end.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, we knew we had to move on and focus on this week.
All right, the other big game in Belvedere, Hana did defeat the Bucks 44-16. So Hana finishes up 8-1 and shares the Nick 10 championship with Belvedere North. Let's talk about this one with our Nick 10 analyst, Tim Bailey, who joins us now with some thoughts on that game at Harlem, which we saw he was at. So Tim, North bounces back from the emotional loss last week to Hana when it looked like they had that win in their hands. They get the job done on the road tonight. Maybe it wasn't the cleanest win for North, but you got to tip your hat to those men for defeating a good Harlem team on the road in a pressure situation.
Yeah, they came up big. You know that this is what good championship teams do. You know, you win, you lose last week, you come back, you travel to your opponent's stadium, and you come out with a victory, and you play like you did tonight on both sides of the ball. I mean, they play well defensively, offensively as well. They did what they needed to do on the ground tonight to put that W up on the board. It was really a concerted effort on the offense and the defense tonight, special teams as well. So, you know, congratulations to, both teams, co-champions, Belvedere North here and Harlem. Excuse me, not Harlem, but Hana.
Right.
Yep.
Going into this game, it was a matchup of Jamani Muhammad's speed on the edge and North's speed on defense. What did you see when those 2 units were on the field?
Well, you know, again, like I just stated earlier, you know, I think, you know, what they did with Jamani, they just didn't allow Jamani to go, 70 or 80 yards like he has been in the last couple of weeks. But, you know, he was still getting to that second and third level. Again, Belvedere North's defense, you got to give them credit. They were able to bring Jamani down on one tackle at times. So, you can't really stop Jamani. You can contain him, but you can't really stop him. And I think Coach Beck would agree with me. But what Belvedere North actually was able to do on defense of just really focusing in on understanding where Jamani is at all times on that field, and then coming up with big defensive stops.
Well, North got Nick Tapia back at quarterback, which is big for them going into the playoffs to get that game under his belt because he missed 3 games with the shoulder injury. But we saw a lot of guys contribute for North once again, as usual. How valuable is that depth going to be for North now as they move into the playoffs?
I think it's going to be huge for them. I think, what they have at some key positions, particularly at the quarterback position, even though we didn't see Bucci tonight, I think if something happens to Tapia, I think Bucci is going to be able to come in and be able to carry that load as he did last week against Hana, despite the loss. But, they have a few other playmakers in other areas. They had a couple injuries tonight. I think Alexander went out with a concussion, I believe. He had an injury. He left on the cart. We didn't see him return, so hopefully he gets back next week. They're going to be good. I think Belvedere North is really going to be able to make some good noise in the playoffs with their depth.
And the goal every Friday is to get a win, but the main thing the coaches want to see is improvement in their teams. How much of that improvement have you seen for Harlem on the offense and the defense?
I've seen really, as it relates to offense, I've seen really improvement. In the weeks, prior to this game here, I would always say, Harlem really needs to improve, at the actual interior line on that front offensive line. They're not really doing as well as they probably could at the point of attack. Tonight, I saw some improvement. What they were doing on the offense. Schematically, they had what they wanted, but Harlem just didn't really execute when they had the opportunity to execute, but a much more improved offense. Defensively, they just need to tackle. I think right now that's Harlem's Achilles heel right now. They missed a lot of big tackles tonight. McElroy actually looked like a baby Jerome Bettis tonight. Congratulations to him. But on defense, Harlem has to be able to learn, be able to be better tacklers in order to be able to make a good push in the playoffs.
I will say, I like Harlem's balance now on offense. They've got it. They've got that nice combo between the run and the pass game. All right, so it appears 6 Nick 10 teams are going to be in the playoffs. Hana, Belvedere North, Harlem, Guilford, Boylan, and Freeport. So let's let that soak in for just a second as you see their records there. All right, now that brings us to our over-under question. How many of those Nick 10 teams out of the 6 are going to make it past the first round of the playoffs? The over-under is set at 2.5. Tim, what do you think?
I'm betting on my guys. Scott, I'm betting on my guys. I'm gonna go with 4. I'm gonna go with 4 here.
4 teams
Absolutely.
will make it through the first round.
Yeah, I feel that strongly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. What kind of vibe you got there, Drew?
I agree with you, Tim. I'm obviously going to be positive here, and why not? 4 teams? Let's do it.
We got some good teams in the playoffs.
Right.
This year.
We do.
Freeport made it in. Congratulations, Freeport. Yes. But I think, going forward, I think, we're going to see some teams actually move forward in that first round.
All right. I'm going to be the party pooper here a little bit because I want all of our teams to get past the first round, but I'm going under. I think 2 are going to make it. I think some of these teams are going to have a tough draw. And the Nick 10, in my opinion, was a little down as a whole this year.
I agree.
But I'm curious to see how Guilford does because they're finished on a roll here, so they're going to be interesting.
Well, folks, if you want more from Tim on Nick 10 football, check out the Bailey Pod. You can find it on YouTube. This week, his guest is Hana football coach Brian Zimmerman, became the winningest coach in school history, and Harold Bone, the sports editor of Rockton Roscoe News. Tim, thanks for joining us.
Appreciate
Coming
it,
up
guys.
next, some big northern teams faced a must-win games in order to get into the playoffs.
And could Byron's biggest rival, Stillman Valley, spoil the Tigers' bid for an undefeated regular season? Byron's last-minute comeback win at Dixon last Friday night was an instant classic in the Big Northern Conference. Byron and Stillman Valley, they've had their share of classics over the years when they've gotten together.
I'm sure you've seen a few of those. Tonight, these 2 rivals met again for their bragging rights, this time in Byron. First play from scrimmage for Byron, and it's Braden Knoll off the handoff, gets hit, but keeps those legs churning backwards as he's going to drag some Cardinals with him for the huge gain. Later in the drive, Braden Knoll will cash in and get the Tigers on the board. Stillman's ball now. Ryan Roof is going to look to throw on 3rd down. Rolls out, throws on the run, but it's picked off by Mr. Do-It-All, Braden Knoll. What a play there from Braden. Andrew Talbert looking to throw for the Tigers. Runs the bootleg out to his right, looks for and finds Jacob Lawver, who stops short of the goal line. A couple of plays later, Talbert with it, keeps it, and jumps into the end zone for another Tigers tutty. They led 14-0 in the first quarter. Byron completes the undefeated season by shutting out Stillman 43-0.
At Rockford Lutheran, all the pressure was on that team, GenoaKingston. The Cogs needed a win to make the playoffs. The Crusaders were already in with their 6 wins. GK's opening drive, Nathan Kleba dropping back, had time, and boy, did he have a wide open Patrick Young for the TD. Looked like the Cogs are going to get 6 more. Kleba here on defense will come up with a pick. Looks like he's going for a pick 6, but he was chased down by David Ballard, and he fumbled the football through the end zone for a touchback. No points. Gavin Sanders finally back on the field for the Satyrs after missing time with a knee injury. Starting to look pretty good, getting back in the groove. Real nice run here by Gavin. On that same drive, Daniel Ballard at quarterback. He wants to go deep for big money. Mesa Fuertes got it. It's a jump ball, but yeah, you give it to the offensive guy there. So they're inside the 5-yard line from there. Daniel Ballard will keep it for the short touchdown run. But despite that score, it was GenoaKingston that won 29-14, so the Cogs now likely headed to the playoffs.
In Oregon, the 4-4 Hawks needed to defeat the Athens Warriors, a non-conference game, to get into the playoffs for a second straight year. It was already 28-0 Hawks by the time our camera arrived. Kickoff return for the Warriors is fumbled and recovered by Oregon's Leighton Kinney. Great field position. Benny Olade looking to air it out and completes it to Josh Randall, who stiff arms a defender into the turf for another Oregon touchdown. 2-minute offense for the Warriors. Cassius Crane back to pass in the dying seconds, but he's hit, fumbles the ball, and the Hawks come up with it to end the half. Second half kickoff being returned here by Avery Lewis. Running to his left, jukes a tackler, follows his blockers, cuts it back to the right, breaks another tackle, finds a lot of green grass in Athens' side of the field where he was taken down. What a great return right there. A few plays later, Hunter Bartell is given the rock and he punches it in for one more Oregon touchdown. Oregon punches their ticket to the postseason with a dominating 57-14 win. Also in the Big Northern, the Dixon Dukes shut out North Boone 55-0, and Winnebago edged out Rock Falls 35-32.
In the NUIC, Lena Winslow beat Forston 58-30. Stockton defeated Galena 34-0. EPC wins 42-12 over Dakota. Fulton won 41-7 over Morrison, and DuPec wins big over a really good Seneca team 33-22. Now in Sycamore, there was another great matchup of state-ranked teams.
The Spartans hosted the Cahokia Comanches. Reanne Wild made the trip to Sycamore for that one. Reanne?
Guys, this one was a great playoff tune-up for these two teams. Sycamore was 8-0 and ranked second in the state in Class 5A. Cahokia was 7-1 and ranked 12th in Class 4A. Both teams have already won their respective conferences, so this was set up for a fun and competitive non-conference matchup. Sycamore got things started, and if you haven't seen the arm on QB Burke Goucher yet this season, you'll definitely see it tonight as he throws deep with this one to Aiden Wizard, who tells the crowd that this was a huge first down. Celebration here with Colton Sharpness. Now at the goal line, it's Dylan Hodges who makes his way through and falls just short of the end zone, putting the Spartans in a great position. And ultimately, Goucher decided to finish it off himself, and with a 2-point conversion, Sycamore takes it an 8-0 lead with under 7 to go in the first quarter. Now I have to give credit to the Spartans defense. Cahokia had a huge 4th down opportunity here. You can see the quarterback taking it himself, but it's the team of Goucher and Cooper Bode who said absolutely not, and the rest of the Spartans followed through on that. Some second quarter action now, and the Spartans are continuing to dominate. And let me just say, I got completely faked out here, I will admit that, because here comes the Goucher arm again, and he finds no other than Wizard waiting for him in the end zone to extend the lead of 18-0 with less than 8 to go in the half. Sycamore would find yet another scoring opportunity, and what's that saying? If it's not broke, don't fix it, because it's another Goucher throw to a wide open Wizard who gets the jumping celebration with his teammate Maddox McRoberts to put the icing on the cake just before halftime. The Spartans will take this one 52-14. Now Sycamore remains undefeated and hand Cahokia only their 2nd loss of the year. I can definitely say the Sycamore team is something special. Guys, back to you.
Yeah, we second that. The Spartans are good. Thanks, Reanne. In other area games, Marengo beat Sandwich 28-14, and Johnsburg defeated Harvard 53-20. In 8-man football, Olden Hebron topped AFC 40-0. Milledgeville beat Hiawatha 58-28. West Carroll defeated South Lloyd 36-26. Coming up shortly, our spotlight story on an East E-Rab who has been playing through a heavy heart.
And up next, more Nick 10 action, including a strong matchup at Titan Stadium between Boylan and Guilford.
In In the Nick 10, the Harlem Belvedere North game garnered most of the attention because there was a piece of the conference championship on the line. But another great Nick 10 matchup played out at Boylan.
The Titans hosted the Guilford Vikings. Both teams were 5-3 coming into the game. The winner earns 4th place in the conference. Guilford's coach had the boys fired up, just raw emotion. 30 seconds left in the first half. Guilford's at the goal line. They hand it off to Isaiah Primus, and those boys up front gave him the push to slide in for that score. 21-7 Vikings at half. Flip the field. Boylan knocking on the door themselves, and the snap is fumbled. The Vikings defense held up for the stop. 4th quarter action. Another 4th down. Dominic Cacciatore rips this one for Eli Davis, but it's Messiah Tilson with the deflection. That Vikings defense was incredible. Titans offense gets another chance in the 4th, but James Benson and the Vikes were not allowing nothing tonight. Look at that big boy tackle. But this was the icing on the cake. Late in the 4th, toss to the left to the fastest man the state line, Messiah Tilson. He gets wrapped up here by about 10 Titans. But watch those legs. They keep moving, and he breaks out of that mess. And like I said, nobody's going to catch him. He is just faster than everybody else. You have to play until you hear that whistle. Guilford faithful celebrates that dominant win. Vikings win big, 28-7.
They sure finished the season strong. Must-win night for Freeport to get into the playoffs. The 4-4 Pretzels played East. We'll start with the E-Rabs. Twain Phillips gives it up to Tyshawn Whitty, who fakes us out and then is found sprinting to the end zone from 45 yards out. Now the E-Rabs going to try for 2. I mean, why settle for 1, right? Pass going into the air to the corner of the end zone, but it's broken up. Dion Woodall was right there. Pretzels with the scoring opportunity here. Peyton Wolker tossing it to Cameron Werner. Werner looking outside, gets to the sideline, and he's going to go all the way 40 yards for the Pretzel touchdown. Now they're going for 2. It's Werner showing his power game this time as he dances on in there for the 2. Freeport again, and why not keep giving it to Werner, right? He's got an opening, a little stiff arm coming up there very nicely. He's got open green space. And that's going to be a 53-yard TD. I think Werner wanted to play in the playoffs, and he's going to because Freeport wins 22-12.
Jefferson and Auburn battle at White Stadium. Both teams are trying to end their seasons on a winning note. Auburn is repping those pretty pinks, and they go with the QB option. And that's Xavier Lindy putting on a nice move and taking this one all the way to the crib. Just look at that speed right there for number 9. Jayhawks get the ball, and they have a pretty simple solution. Feed 23 the ball. You know the name, I talked about him last week, LaShawn Gathright. He's a beast. Inside the red zone now, and guess who they go to? Of course, LaShawn lowers the shoulder and gets through the bottleneck. In for the score, 2-point conversion, and big ol' Sebastian Bracious does it all himself. Jefferson wins 42-14. Let's take another brief timeout. When we come back, we'll have our weekly Spotlight feature story.
We'll meet an East E-Rab who went through the heartache of losing his brother a few years ago, and this year he has channeled that sorrow into inspiration. Well, athletes are motivated by a lot of things, mostly by the desire to compete and to win. Some athletes, like Rockford East senior linebacker Corbin Hada, are also driven by love and by grief. Here's Hada's story in our Spotlight segment, brought to you by Benchmark Exteriors. Corbin Hada plays linebacker for the E-Rabs, inside linebacker.
He's very important. He's probably in the top 2 or 3 leading us in tackles. He's big, and he can run, and he can finish.
Corbin's best moment this season came in Week 5 against Auburn when he had this pick 6.
Most definitely highlight of my career. It was my first ever touchdown, like ever. I really just prayed that I could at least get a touchdown before my senior year, because this is my last year of football before I go off to college.
His older brother Mason would have made similar plays. Mason was also a linebacker for East.
It's just too bad the kid didn't get to realize his potential, because he'd have been a starter for us as a junior, and he was athletic as heck.
ago, the very day before East regular season opener, 16-year-old Mason Hana got into his car after football practice ended. He drove away from the school. He had only traveled a couple blocks when his car was struck by another vehicle that was traveling 60 miles per hour over the speed limit. Mason Hana did not survive. Teammates and other students at East set up candlelight memorials at East practice field under the goalpost. There was a feeling of disbelief that this could happen. Throughout this season, Corbin has worn his brother's old jersey number 45. What does it mean to you to put on that number 45 jersey for every game?
Oh, it means a lot. It really does. It really gives me the motivation, especially when I need to make a big play. I'll really think about why I'm here and doing what I'm doing, and I'll think about that number and the reason why I'm playing to this day because of that number.
The jersey comes off after games, but the tattoo on Corbin's arm is always there. It reads, "For him I would risk it all. I am my brother's keeper." Then it says Mason Hana and lists Mason's birth date and the day he died. And there's the Roman numeral 45. Like most brothers, while growing up, Corbin and Mason had their moments where they fought and didn't get along, but they were close. They were separated in age by only a year and a half.
We were basically twins, identical. We did everything together.
Corbin says he tries not to drive past the scene of his brother's accident. His mother put the cross there.
I try to avoid it as much as I can because every time I drive by there, it feels like my heart just sinks down to like my stomach.
It was a very difficult moment for the entire program. But for the kid who grew up with him and lived in the house with him and probably shared a bedroom with him, that you could never feel how that kid must have felt at that moment.
Sometimes I'll like be in my room sitting down thinking like I really have to live life without him.
Are you trying to make Mason proud of you every time you're out there?
Yes, of course. I always want to make him proud. I don't ever want to disrespect him at all. Playing football really helped me a lot to like keep his legacy going.
Thanks to Corbin for being open with me and for allowing me to do that story. We'll be right back.
It's time for our play of the night.
The top play caught on our cameras brought to you by Napleton Auto Group.
We have to give this one to Messiah Tilson and the Vikings. He's going to get tossed out here to the left side of the field. And just wait, about 10 Titans wrapping him up here. They assume the refs might blow the play dead, but nope, they don't. Messiah keeps those legs moving and takes this one all the way for the score. This is a picture-perfect proof play to never stop it to hear that whistle. That's our play of the night.
We're going to be right back here next Friday night with a playoff episode of Overtime. As of now, Fox is scheduled to show Game 6 of the World Series if a Game 6 is needed. So we could be on after that. We'll keep you posted next week.
For another look at this entire show or for scores and highlights of individual games, go to mystateline.com anytime. That does it for this episode. Thanks for joining us.
Good night and enjoy your weekend.